history and philosophy of social work. Let's start with what exactly is social work. Social work, as we all know, is a helping profession. This profession is going to help all the individuals of the society, maybe of a rich class, of a middle class, or of a poor class. Social work mainly aims to assist the individuals, groups, and community how to cope up with their complex socio-economic, psychological problems through enabling themselves so that they can solve their problem by helping themselves. Social work can be considered as an art. It can be considered as a science. This method requires great skills to understand people and to help them to help themselves. Social work officially originated not in our country but in the Western world. It originated as a profession in the 19th century within the United States and the United Kingdom. When there was downfall of feudalism, poverty-stricken people were a big threat to the social order of the country. Now the government was forced to do something. So the government formulated poor law. They also created a structured system to provide care to them. It was the responsibility of the government to take care of the poor people, of the people who were poverty-stricken. Another great change was noticed due to Industrial Revolution. This change was in technological and scientific advancement. The people migrated to urban areas, and this also created problem. Number of people were increasing in urban areas. This increased the social problem, and also it turned into social activism. During this time, rescue societies were initiated. They were required to make necessary support. Why? To resolve the problems of poverty, the problems of various diseases which were cropping up at that time. People were suffering from various mental illness. Prostitution was another problem. So to deal with all these problems, rescue societies has to come up and think about the changes. In the late 1800s, a new system emerged as a method for providing aid to social ills because the earlier methods were not sufficient. People were not coming out from their problems. So Jane Addams was a founder of US Settlement House movement. He made this movement necessary to provide aid for social ills. These settlement houses were established in various parts of urban areas. The main aim was to deal with all the emerging problems of the society. These settlement houses catered to the problem of the society. Next, in 1877, the first American Charity Organization Society was formed. This was found in Buffalo, in New York. This was also there to look after the problems of the people in the society. Slowly, by 1990, there were 17 schools of social work affiliated as associations of training schools or professional schools of social work. By this time, there was high demand of professional social work because sporadic treatment was not necessary, was not fulfilling the requirement. If we come to our country, we can trace how social work profession developed here. It began very late as compared to the Western world. In India, it was the tradition to help poor. Charity was in the air. Philanthropy was done here. The tradition of giving assistance to poor, disabled and destitute is very old in India. In every houses, something was kept for the poor people. This was the system during pre-British period. The society was mainly dominated by caste system. Religion was a good force. It was a binding force. People used to consider their religion as their lifeline. People lived in joint families. These joint families provided all the support system required. These joint families were there to share all the joys and sorrows of life. Nobody has to bother about children, women, old age, or disabled people. Even if somebody was unemployed, the joint family took care of that. So all these issues were easily taken care by joint families. People did not require to go outwards to any other institution to take care of these things. That means the villages were independent. They were independent in the matters of food, their clothing, their shelter. The whole community was responsible for taking care of each other. Charity was totally a way of life. People donated whatever they have, whether it's in a cash or in kind, to poor people. Every morning, in every house, a little share was kept for the poor people who will come there and they will get their share. But after the arrival of Britishers, this picture of society changed. The Indian society, which was self-sufficient, was slowly changing now. The joint family who used to look after them was changing now. Even the cottage industries, even the independent working nature started to change. Before that, India was only seen as an agrarian society. But after the Britishers came to the country, industries started to crop up. They tried to build industries to provide better opportunities for investment of British capital. These changes brought down the economic condition of Indians. Now the Indians, as early they were, no more considered as self-sufficient. The community was no more only the looking factor to them. The joint family was no more only taking care of them. All the problems related to health, housing, children, women, labor, recreation, crime and social disorganization, it started coming up. The picture of Indian society changed totally. At that time, some of the problems which were really there, these were taken care by Britishers, like early marriage, inequality, caste system, widow remarriage, custom of sati. These were all considered as the burning issues of Indian society at that time, and these were the common practices in the society. Nobody considered these as problems, but these were realized as problems after the Britishers came to our country. Due to these problems, there was a need for some organized social work. This sowed the seed for social reform movement. Christian missionaries who came with Britishers, mainly they were dealing with evangelical works. But they saw the problems cropping up in the society. They saw the conditions of children. They realized the condition of women and thought that this should not continue. They are not giving equal status to women. So Christian missionaries started spreading education. They tried to bring the theory of equality. According to them, men and women should be equal. They should be treated equally so that no differences are created among them. This also helped in the social reform movement. Christian missionaries tried to attack the evil customs and the inequality prevailing in the society. Some people had a welcome note on this, but other people, they thought this is not correct. Even the common people, they were not ready to change. But many social reformers came up at this time. They also realized that we have to fight with all these social evils. These are really creating problem in the society. Some of the social reformers of those times were Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Swami Vivekananda, Annie Besant, to name some of the few. They thought that yes, the practice of early marriage, inequality, caste system, widow remarriage, sati, and many other problems were really troublesome. These are giving low status, especially to women and children. These are not recognizing their capability in the society. So they started the reform movement and tried to bring changes in the society. That time also there was no professional social work in the society. Only charity and philanthropy was going on. If we talk about professional social work in India, it's of very recent origin. After 1900, those who were engaged in social welfare activities felt the need of trained social workers. They thought, as the society is changing, as we are moving from joint family to nuclear family, as there are more and more industries, people are migrating from village to nearby towns, the life is not the same. In this changed life, they are feeling various problems. They are facing various social vices. How to deal with them? Now, as joint family was broken, taking care of children, of widows, of old age people, of disabled people was not easier. So, there was a necessity of organized social work practice. Trained social work practice was very much required. In India, professional social work owes its origin to a short-term training course on social service organized by Social Service League at Mumbai. After that, the now Tata Institute of Social Science was opened. Slowly, the profession of social work spread throughout the country. Slowly, this profession required proper classes, proper course curriculum, proper teaching in schools and colleges, and various schools and colleges of social work started developing in different parts of the country. At present, we have various schools of social work, mostly concentrated in Maharashtra and south of the country, and in the western part, it's a little lacking. But yes, all over the country, we are having schools of social work. Now let's move to second unit, Historical Development of Social Work in India. Social work as a profession, it developed very late in India. In this unit, we'll see various topics like social reform movement in 19th century and 20th century. It will deal with Christian missionaries, Brahmo Samaj, Arya Samaj, Theosophical Society, Ramakrishna Mission, and Pratna Sabha. We'll also see in this unit social welfare in the British period and in the post-independence period. If we talk about social work, in India, social work began very late and its progress was also not very rapid, not very smooth. Social work as a profession in India, if we talk about, is still not fully recognized. The tradition of giving assistance to the poor, disabled and destitute, it is very old in India. The concept of charity was practiced in India in every house, in every religion, from the ancient India. The field of social work in India did not develop as it happened in UK and USA. In this Western world, the social work developed in a well-organized manner and much earlier as compared to India. The history of social work in India can be traced under the following heads. Today we will see how social work developed in following 4 phases. Number 1, social work in ancient India, social work in medieval India, social work during the British period and social work after independence.